Hello and welcome back to another episode of our Short and Low and Behold podcast. I'm Gibson Lowenberg, the host, and today we are talking about the decision by the Chicago Bears to relocate to Hammond, Indiana. Earlier this week, the board of the Chicago Bears decided they're going to leave Soldier Field and they're going to try and build a stadium in Hammond, Indiana, which is getting the backlash you could expect a team like that to get with that decision. But this has been something that's been kind of building for a while. I understand it. I personally don't agree with the decision. I think that teams should stay in the cities, but also I understand where it's coming from. Let me get into everything going into it. First thing, the Bears are in the largest market in the United States that does not have two teams. The only cities larger than Chicago that in the United States are Los Angeles, which has both the Rams and the Chargers, and New York, which has the Jets and the Giants. Chicago only has one team. So they are splitting up, they are taking that entire market, and instead of splitting it into two like the other two massive cities their size do, it's just the Bears. And then to compound that issue and make it significantly worse, Soldier Field is one of the oldest stadiums in the NFL. They have outdated infrastructure in the stadium, so the experience there isn't great for the fans. But also, it is the smallest stadium in all of football. For context, they have the ability to sit 20,000 less fans than the Giants or the Jets. So Soldier Field is super small and they have outdated infrastructure. So the experience there isn't what it could be for fans, while also not being able to fit enough fans. So they have to charge a ton of money to get tickets, or to sell tickets to fans. So you're spending more than just about any other team, any other fan base, while also not getting the same experience as other teams are getting because the infrastructure is outdated. But then to make that worse, of every football stadium I have ever personally visited, Soldier Field has far and away the worst parking infrastructure in the NFL. There's no parking nearby, so you have to walk to get there. But also on top of that, the nearest train station is a 15-minute walk away. And I don't think there's any bus stop that's a ton closer either. Well, there's a bus stop closer, but it's not like right there. There's still a walk after the bus. So it's really difficult to get there, and then the traffic is just horrible after games as well. So getting to and from Soldier Field is a problem. The infrastructure is outdated. They can't sit enough fans for the market that they have. So it makes sense that they want to move on from Soldier Field, and also the fact that Soldier Field is super far away from downtown where everything in the city is. Looking at it on a map, when I first looked it up, I thought this is really close to everything else, right? And then I actually visited. There's nothing around it there other than museums. Like, they've got the Field Museum right across the street, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of things to do around there. And most people after a football game, they want to go to the bars, right? That's a super common thing to see. There's none around there. So it makes sense that they want to move out of Soldier Field. But the problem after that is there's nowhere within the city of Chicago that they can build a replacement stadium, because everything in the area around Soldier Field is historic landmarks, so they can't tear any of that down. So they have to look other places in the city, and since it's such a massive and condensed city, there's nowhere that they can really fit a football stadium. So because it's just so huge that they need to tear down several blocks in order to do so, and there's nowhere in the city of Chicago that they can realistically do that without creating 10 million other problems. And the city's not going to approve tearing down a bunch of buildings either, because that just doesn't make sense for anybody. So I understand that that's a problem, but also at the same time, why are they going to Indiana? Like, I could have understood like going to a suburb of Chicago, like west of the city, so it stays in Illinois. But going to Indiana, I just I don't like that. That just feels really odd to me, you know. But on the upside, on the other side of everything, like it they're going to be able to charge less per tickets. They're able to give better experiences when fans need to go to the bathroom. There's not going to be a line wrapped around the entire stadium. You're going to be able, it's going to be just a significantly better experience for fans, and on top of that, they're going to be able to fit probably north of 15,000 more people in, so tickets will be significantly cheaper. I'd imagine that they have better parking infrastructure wherever they decide to build that stadium, and I'd imagine that they put a lot of effort into making sure that public transit is available and fans are able to get to the game, and so that they can actually be there and make it an effective plan, or make an effective plan to get fans there. I think that's going to be their number one priority, as well as obviously updating everything. But still, like, it, to me, it all comes down to they're going to Indiana rather than a suburb in Illinois. That just doesn't seem right to me. It's Chicago. Chicago's in Illinois. Put the stadium in Illinois. It I don't know. Like, I understand the idea that the suburbs are part of the city, but not Indiana. Indiana's not part of Chicago. Not in my opinion. Granted, I'm not from Chicago. I'm not from the Chicago area. So my opinion is kind of like, my opinion on what is and what isn't Chicago doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, nobody cares about my opinion on what is and isn't Chicago. But to me, Hammond, Indiana is not Chicago. So the Chicago Bears shouldn't be playing in Indiana. But it looks like that's what's going to end up happening. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I've been Gibson Lowenberg. Thanks for joining.